Bonjour, Monsieur Rob.
Bonjour, Monsieur Captain.
As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, we have blindfolded Mr. Chapman. The very first video that Rob and I ever did together was a Gibson versus Epiphone video, aka How to Sound Like Slash, I think, or something like that.
Yes.
That was in 2009 or something like that, so heavens above. It's about time we revisited it, right?
Yes.
Neither of these guitars are new, so there may well be other comparisons of these online. But I have got one guitar, which is an Epiphone Les Paul Standard 1960s special, I think in Bourbon Burst. I can tell you what
Bourbon
the colours are,
biscuit.
'cause Rob can't see.
Sounds great.
And the other is a Gibson Les Paul Standard 1960s reissue. In another kind of a burst. The only giveaway, like real cast iron giveaway, if Rob starts touching things, is the headstock shape.
So I can't touch the headstock?
You can, oh, can he? The tuners are the same, the knob's the same, the switch is much the same. Obviously, operationally, it's all the same.
I won't touch anything.
I think even touching the tuners, just their relative position might give it away. So I'm pretty sure they sound in tune to me. You've got a Soldano SLO. Are you having to change channel on this? Do I need to do that for you?
There's a pedal on the floor that changes. You can navigate my foot around, and I will be able, as we do normally.
Fine. All right. So that's what we're doing. Is it? So is this the guitar cable? It is indeed the guitar cable I need. So members of the audience, there is almost a £2,000 price difference between these two guitars. So this should, by rights, be an easy challenge. But we'll see. Left or right? Power of thought. Which one? I'm feeling, but was it my left or your left? I don't know. I'm going my left.
Should I take my Apple Watch off in case people think I'm cheating digitally?
How would it know?
Maybe its AI is going to go boop, boop, buzz and give me haptics when I'm playing.
I also know, now I also am going to rule out the power of smell. So whilst I'm not going to stuff things up your nose, you cannot hold the guitar near your nose and attempt to smell. Because that would potentially be another giveaway. So right, put your arms out, Mr. Rob. One guitar incoming. Oh. There we are. There we are. Okay, I need to undo your tuner. In fact, I'm going to steal the whole board. Right. I've taken control, Mr. Rob, of the board.
Good idea.
So the first thing, you got a plectrum?
Yes.
You ready to go? Okay, here is the first sound. I think it's clean, isn't it?
Give me some gain, Lee.
Okay.
It's a beautiful feeling and sounding guitar. I mean, the pickups just sound expensive, I'm not going to lie. This sounds like an expensive guitar.
I'm going to take it back off you, if I may, which is fine.
I have some commentary.
Okay, go on.
So, quite heavy.
Quite heavy. Relatively, though, you don't know if it's more or less heavy than the next one?
I'm not a Les Paul player, but I'm going to say quite heavy. The feel is difficult to have a subjective point to, because I didn't string it and set it up the way I would normally do. I would have more action and thicker strings. So it's difficult to know, based upon the feel, what it was. But it sounded expensive.
So what I've done, I've put a set of 10s on each one of these.
Really?
And I've set them up how I feel. Do you know what? Fun enough, I did go for a slightly lower action than I would have, but I thought that's what you'd want. So interesting you say, but they're the same. There's no, here you go. There shouldn't be any real perceivable difference in like string height and stuff like that. So here's your guitar. Let me just triple check. Everything is on 10. Yeah, you're in the middle position again.
That's the
so
same,
let's have a listen.
literally the same weight.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't think one was heavier than the other.
Can you gain it?
Of course.
Well, this sounds great and it feels great as well. Have you given me two guitars that are the same?
Well, sort of. I mean, one's a Gibson Les Paul 1960s and one's an Epiphone 1960s Les Paul.
Okay.
But no, they're not. They are 100% not the same. One is about 600 quid and the other's about 2,500 quid.
So the interesting thing is that I don't really... The pickups on the previous one had a very slightly more ceramic quality to them. They sounded like open coil, mid-range focused ceramic humbuckers. I'm not saying that they were, but they had that kind of quality to them. This is way more brash and kind of out there. And the only thing that would make me think that this might be the Epiphone, because to be quite honest, there's hardly any difference in the feeling I'm given, is that the lacquer is thicker on this neck and the pickups are a bit more kind of obvious. They're brighter and kind of barkier, and the others were a little bit creamier and smoother. So that's the only thing that I'm going on. But I have to say, I kind of prefer the feel of this one at the moment, but that might just be the way it's set up.
I think I've potentially and I will take responsibility for this. I think I did a slightly better job of tuning the second guitar than the first guitar. So let me. I wouldn't mind another pass, and you just
mix them up and give
mix them up. There's only two.
Okay, yeah. Make it harder. Give me a third.
Do you know what? I think this time round, what I'm going to do is actually I'm just going to let you tune them. So if we can be just to get a marker. Well, because look.
But won't I end up touching the headstock by accident? Les
Pauls are, they have a sort of a slightly notorious kind of G-string issue, which is fine. Everybody knows that. It didn't stop millions of bands writing great tunes on them and being badass rock and roll guitar players. And of course, these are both brand new sets of strings on here. So although I've tried to stretch them, they've not had hours. So I'm giving you back the first guitar again. I'm now allowing you to touch the tuners. It'll actually be interesting to see whether or not, if you don't touch the headstock, you just touch the tuners, whether or not it actually gives you any, what indication as to which guitar you've got. But of course, on the 60s Les Pauls, whether it's Gibson or Epiphone, they use the Grover style tuners. And on the 50s one, again, they use the sort of the tulip plastic button jobbies. So he's gone drop D with gain.
Gainy. sounds good.
It does sound
God
good.
damn. This has got to be the expensive one. It sounds too good not to be
All
the
right, let's
expensive
just
one.
pass it back.
And the neck is very slightly less kind of affordable nitro. You know, it's. Oh man,
That's great. It's good. These blindfold challenges are sort of scientific, aren't they? I mean,
those are covered humbuckers.
They are. Yeah, but that's the same on both
I
guitars.
feel like. Ooh.
And again, you're welcome to touch the headstock now to tune.
All right, give me that again. This is great. I mean, if this is an Epiphone, it's the best Epiphone I've ever played. But I think this is the Epiphone.
Well, Mr. Rob, I mean, yes, feel free to derobe, don't do that. Take your blindfold off and you can see what you've got. What were you guys thinking? I mean, obviously, unless of course you switched your computer screens off or looked away, you've obviously had been able to see which is which. I think as you were playing, it's a really odd. Pete Honore, I think, came up with the best analogy for when you have sometimes expensive and cheap versions of each other, like real Martin D28s versus copies of D28s and stuff. There's a range that just expensive stuff just seems to have a bit more dynamic, like expression or whatever it is. The basic, you can see the look of them is almost identical.
Yeah.
The feel of them is very similar. Rob was correct to point out that obviously the Epiphone has a thicker polyurethane lacquer all over the body. The Gibson is
only marginal though, but
finish.
you can just feel it.
There's something more organic about the sound of the Les Paul, the Gibson Les Paul in its pickups. It's a great amp. If I didn't mention this already, we're using a Soldano SLO30. It's just wicked sounding amplifier. And again, I think this is one of these, if money is no object, then yes, Gibson probably wins. As soon as money becomes a part of the decision-making process, is this guitar 5 times, 4 times, whatever it is, better than that one?
No, but it's the classic thing that you talk about, which is the law of diminishing returns. I mean, looking at this and playing this, blindfold playing the two of them, the difference is, I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, I don't hate to say it really, but it's very minimal.
Marginal.
It's really, if you were to put these pickups in this guitar.
Well, that's an interest. Do you know what? Because that's actually the direction Epiphone are moving with their guitars. So what did they call it? They had a phrase for it. But Epiphone wants to be perceived as a higher quality brand.
Yeah.
So
that'd do it.
Well, but what you're seeing now is this guitar in the current lineup and over the next few years, they're all morphing towards this idea that they're just going to use the Gibson headstock on Les Paul. Far more of the Epiphone range is now coming with the American pickups on them. They're doing guitars with a sort of a faux nitro style finish, albeit putting the prices up at the same time. So that, you know, there's you know, there is a trade-off there. But yeah, this is currently the 2024. It's just the regular 60s Les Paul standard. So still with Epiphone's own brand pickups in them. Still a very much a sort of a Chinese version of this. But again, it's a quarter of the price. It's just crazy good value.
There are tiny tells. If you make guitars for a living.
When you were tuning, did you go, oh yeah, I can tell the head, or were you not? Have you literally got to sort of feel like that to know which you've got?
Shall I tell you the truth?
Yeah.
So the difference is that these are different lengths away from the headstock.
That's what I mean. So it's
what I mean is they're screwed in very marginally different lengths away from the headstock, so you can tell that there are tiny errors in the drilling procedure of the placement of these tuners.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, that were not on that one. So, but it's the only.
I think it's just more that the Epiphone headstock goes in more than the Gibson one, so therefore the tuners, it feels like there's more space, but I don't know that it doesn't look like they're. I mean, these have all been done off CNC, so it's not like somebody's drilling it by eye.
They've been done by hand pillion. But, I mean, it plays beautifully.
Yeah.
Are these Alnico 5s or ceramics?
I don't know. Alnico 5, is it? Yeah. Okay.
So that's Alnico 2,
Alnico 5.
Alnico 5. Yeah. That's the difference I heard then. Smoother sounding and a bit more brash.
All right.
Well, but also, can you put me out my misery and tell me how much this costs?
Yeah, 600 quid.
Really? That's a really good price.
That's what I mean. It's a quarter of the price of a
Look
Les
at the
Paul
top.
standard. I mean, that again, how many people are going to buy this guitar and then knock themselves out with Seymour Duncans or DiMarzios or Bare Knuckles or even a set of with Gibson pickups?
Quite honestly, I wouldn't necessarily bother. They sounded really good. It just, for some reason, this sounded expensive. Do you know what I mean?
Hey, right. Onwards and upwards. Let's jam.
Jam.